Hello everyone and welcome to another video tutorial. Today I wanted to actually talk about how I make color choices because this is a thing that a lot of people have recently told me I'm pretty decent at least. And I think something that a lot of people would like to know. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to color choices is that I think everyone, if you're going to use color, you need to memorize the color wheel, okay? And you don't need to memorize all the in-between colors. You just need to memorize like the basic colors to have in your head, or just have it next to you or whatever. I'm pretty chaotic in my color choices, but I always have the color wheel in mind to make sure that it all kind of makes sense. So we can start with red, since that's like the top color in the rainbow, and we can just go around this way. So you have red, next to it is orange, next to orange is yellow, next to yellow is green, next to green is blue, and then next to blue is purple. And what you need to know more or less is what is opposite of each other and what is a third away from each other. So red and green are opposites to each other, orange and blue are opposites to each other, yellow and purple are opposites to each other. And red, blue, and yellow are all primary colors, purple, green, and orange are all secondary colors. But what's more important is these three have a pairing, and these three also have a special kind of pairing. I don't tend to use this, I forget what it's called exactly, but I don't tend to use the three pairs all that much. It might be something I need to experiment with later. I typically, when I make color choices, tend to use just the opposites to create contrast. And the thing I've learned about color is it's less to do with the actual color choices, it's more to do what that color has in relation to the other colors you use. So if I wanted to make something very harmonious, I would want to pick, maybe if I started with orange as the base color, I would then pick yellow and red only as the other colors. And even then, I would only actually pick one of these to pair with it. I found that the less color that you use initially when you're learning how to use color, the better. So sometimes it's even better just to start with one color and learn the various like shades of it. So bright, like faded orange, very very dark orange, bright orange, and you can just use those to create a picture or a monochrome. I don't really have one on hand, but let's see. That's all right. If you want to create, yeah, I would always recommend starting only with one color when you're learning. You can do it with color pencil, actually. So let me grab one of those. So let's say, for example, we want to do orange. You have that level of orange, then you have this level of orange, and then you might have something in between where you layer it. And those are all actually different colors. It may not seem like it because it's a trick of the eye, but these are all separate colors that you can be using. So this would be a lighter orange if you wanted to color maybe a sky. This would be a dark orange if you wanted shadows, and this would be like the middle orange that you would use to do midtones. And you just learning all three of these values with color means that you can take one color and turn it into several different colors. The greatest example of this is when you combine red and yellow and you get an orange. But if you do red and yellow and make an orange and then you make it lighter, depending on your medium, so like acrylics or oils, you might put more white into it, and you gotta mix up into it. For watercolors, actually, you just use less pigment, and then you can actually get skin color from that. So it is quite simple in a way. Yeah, so I would always recommend starting when you're practicing the ideas of color to use one color, and then you take those colors and you only add maybe one more, or at best three. If you're gonna do lots of colors, you need to be very tasteful and mindful about it. You usually only have a primary color, and then you kind of add colors that would improve the scene. So if you started with a base color of orange, so I'm gonna try and do like a really quick drawing. If you started with orange, and let's just draw a person, like a silhouette of a person. So you start with orange. If you wanted to add a shadow of some kind, you would want to use blue, because blue is the opposite color to orange, and it makes both of them make each other pop, and orange is usually the stronger color. Orange, red, and to an extent yellow are very strong colors because they're very bright, they're very vibrant. Blue, purple, and green are typically colors you want to make those colors pop. You can do them in opposite orders, so you can have a base blue and then highlight it with orange, but you have to put this as the highlight and you have to put this color as the shadow in most cases. So for this one, imagine we have light coming from this direction, so we could just add a shadow on this side, and then we have a very interesting silhouette here. If you want it to be more dynamic, you can just add it in, and it looks like part of the body's shadow, or underneath the chin here, and then you've got part of the body's shadow. If you wanted to do it the opposite way, so let's take another color combination. Let's take green and red. I typically avoid this combination at times because it looks too much like Christmas. So that's another thing to keep in mind. I'll just go over that a little bit later, but say you wanted to have green as the base color. So you're doing a foresty scene. Green is the base color, like this. And you wanted to highlight it. What you would do is, if the light's coming from this way, you would put the red on this side. This is not that great of a color combination for highlights, but you can do that. Or if you really want to make it a shadow, you just add it on top of the green. So then it creates a contrast and it creates a bit of a dark spot. Yeah, so going through all that, just knowing, I typically just use that as my method to choose colors. Sometimes I'll add other colors as a background color. So if I chose red and green, I would typically use blue because it's totally unrelated. So if I wanted to create a context, I would add blue to the background because it has nothing to do with the other colors except that it's kind of close to green. But even then, blue can be used to just add context to the background, or brown, or a mutable color, just because they're unrelated to the image that you're creating. So I'm gonna go over a little bit more about like when to use each color, in my opinion. I typically like yellow and purple because this combination of colors, it's a very strong contrast, but it doesn't have it's not that strong in general. So if you take anything with red or orange, these will typically be very, very strong. The same with blue. If you want to create something with a lot of impact, you do orange and blue. If you want something with less impact but with more subtlety, you use yellow and purple. And if you want to make Christmas, you make red and green. And then you think about nature, and green typically is like foresty. Red, you don't actually see that often, but maybe if you want to make something pop against a black background, that's when you use red. If you want you use yellow, but only if you want to create highlights usually. Yeah, so I'd love to go over more or less like the process of me choosing colors. That'll be in a different episode. This is kind of like an introduction. So in essence, I would just implore you to learn your color wheel, because then you can have fun with it. You can say, you can go across, you can pick 3, you can pick 2, you can pick the things next to each other, opposite each other. Have fun thinking about it that way, and then maybe you can find color combinations that you like and that you enjoy and that you can have fun with while you're learning to draw. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you next time.